I said hands on the hood. Now!
Sir, I'm a United States Marine. My ID is...
I don't care what you think you are. You're matching the description.
Sir, I haven't done anything wrong. I just stopped for gas.
What started as a routine gas station stop in rural Virginia ended with a decorated combat veteran in handcuffs, a Pentagon briefing at 3 a.m., and a 63-year federal prison sentence. Between the moment those cuffs clicked shut and the judge's gavel falling, a single body cam recording would expose a pattern so disturbing that it triggered the largest civil rights investigation the Department of Justice had launched in 8 years. This is the story of how one officer's inability to recognize authority in a black woman's face cost him everything, and how her refusal to break changed federal policy forever. Her name was Staff Sergeant Kira Maldonado, 29 years old, 11 years of service in the United States Marine Corps. 11 years most people can't comprehend. She joined at 18, right out of high school in Richmond, Virginia. Her mother worked 3 jobs to keep the lights on. Kira wanted to give her something back. She wanted to give her pride. Marine Corps Intelligence Specialist. Not the kind of job you see in movies, the kind where your mistakes get people killed. She held a top-secret SCI clearance. That's the clearance that comes with polygraphs and background checks that dig into your childhood friendships. The kind that takes a year to process. The kind that means something. 3 combat deployments. Afghanistan, 2014 to 2015. Iraq, 2017 to 2018. And a classified North Africa Operation 22 that officially never happened. But it did happen, and people came home because of it. In Afghanistan, her intelligence unit identified an IED network. They were targeting a supply convoy. 47 Marines in that convoy. Her analysis prevented the attack. 47 Marines went home because of her work. 47 families kept their sons and daughters. She received the Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal with Combat V for valor. The V means you earned it under fire. It means you didn't just do your job. You did it while people were trying to kill you. She had a Purple Heart, shrapnel injury, mortar attack in Iraq. She was covering a wounded translator, pulling him to safety when the second round hit. She took metal in her shoulder and kept moving. The translator survived. Kira spent 4 days in a field hospital. Then she went back to work. 0 disciplinary actions in 11 years. Not one. She trained over 200 junior Marines in tactical intelligence gathering. She'd just been promoted to staff sergeant. 6 days before that night at the gas station. 6 days. September 23rd, 2024. She was driving home. 340 miles from Camp Lejeune, North Carolina to Richmond, Virginia. She'd completed a 9-month deployment. Emergency leave approved. Her mother still lived in the same house where Kira grew up. Still worked 2 of those 3 jobs. And her mother had never seen her daughter in full dress blues. Never seen the ribbons. Never seen the uniform that represented everything Kira had become. So Kira stayed in her dress blues for the drive. She wanted to walk through that door and give her mother that moment. She was 47 miles from home when she stopped for gas. The officer's name was Derek Hoskins, 34 years old, 8 years with the Greenfield County Sheriff's Department, and in those 8 years, 17 formal complaints had been filed against him. 17. Not 1, not 5. 17 complaints in 8 years. That's more than 2 per year. Every single year. And 14 of those complaints involved black individuals. 82%. 0 suspensions. 0 retraining requirements. 0 formal reprimands. Not once. In 2018, he pulled over a black high school teacher. 7:15 p.m. on a Thursday. Accused him of erratic driving. The dash cam showed normal lane changes. Completely normal. Hoskins searched the vehicle for 35 minutes. The teacher stood in the rain. Hoskins found nothing. The teacher filed a complaint. It was dismissed as officer discretion. The teacher's name was Raymond Pierce. He taught AP history. He'd taught in that county for 14 years. It didn't matter. In 2020, Hoskins detained a black female nurse. She was leaving the hospital after her shift, still in scrubs. He claimed she matched the description of a shoplifter in the area. No shoplifting had been reported that day. Not that day. Not that week. The nurse was detained for 90 minutes. She missed picking up her 6-year-old daughter from daycare. Her daughter waited alone for an hour and a half. The nurse filed a complaint. The county quietly settled for $12,000. The settlement included a non-disclosure agreement. Hoskins received no discipline. Her name was Patricia Owens. She'd been an ER nurse for 9 years. In 2021, he stopped a black male postal worker in full USPS uniform, delivering mail. On his route, Hoskins demanded ID, accused him of suspicious activity. The postal worker showed his federal employee badge. Hoskins claimed the badge could be fake. He called the postal supervisor. The supervisor confirmed employment, verified the route, confirmed the worker had been on that route for 3 years. The postal worker filed a complaint. Hoskins received counseling. No documentation was added to his personnel file. The worker's name was James Mitchell. He'd worked for USPS for 11 years. In 2023, Hoskins arrested a black female college student. She was sitting on a public park bench, studying. In the middle of the afternoon, he claimed she was trespassing. She showed her college ID. She showed him her apartment lease. She lived 2 blocks away. 2 blocks. Hoskins claimed she was acting nervous. The charges were dropped after the Bodycam review. She filed a complaint. It was never investigated. Her name was Alicia Freeman. She had a 3.8 GPA, every single one ignored, not once disciplined, 0 consequences. 14 complaints involving black civilians. The department ignored what the data screamed. This wasn't law enforcement. This was a pattern, and it was protected by a system that refused to see it. September 23, 2024, 8:47 p.m. Greenfield County Gas and Go on rural Route 58. Late September warmth. Crickets audible on the Bodycam audio later. Fluorescent lights casting harsh whites across the pavement. 2 other customers inside the store. 1 pumping gas at the far end of the lot. Kiera Maldonado pulled her rental Nissan Altima into the second pump, silver, from the base motor pool. She was still in full dress blues. The dark blue coat with red trim, the white cover, the ribbons across her chest telling a story most people couldn't read. She removed her cover when she got out, placed it carefully on the dashboard. She walked inside, bought a bottle of water, paid cash, walked back out, started pumping gas. That's when Officer Derek Hoskins pulled into the lot. He didn't pull in normally. He angled his patrol car to block the easiest exit. He sat in his car, watching her. The body cam would show this later. 43 seconds of watching a woman in a military uniform pump gas. Then he got out. Evening, can I see some ID? Good evening, sir. May I ask what this is regarding? Just need to see your ID. Of course, sir. It's in my vehicle. Her voice was calm, respectful. She walked to her car, retrieved her military ID and driver's license, walked back, handed both through the window to Hoskins. You been drinking tonight? No, sir, I don't drink. I'm driving home from Camp Lejeune. What are you doing in that uniform? Sir, I'm a United States Marine. I'm on leave. Hoskins examined both IDs. 15 seconds. He held them under his flashlight. Her military common access card, her North Carolina driver's license, both legitimate, both clearly legitimate. This could be fake. Sir, that's my official military identification. My CIC card number is... Step out of the vehicle. Kiera stopped mid-sentence. She took a breath. On the body cam audio, you can hear it. One controlled breath. Sir, I've presented my credentials. What is the reason for this stop? You match a description. Step out now or I'll remove you. She complied, slowly, hands visible. Every movement deliberate. She'd been trained for this. Not by the Marines, by her mother, by every black parent who teaches their child how to survive an interaction that shouldn't be dangerous. Sir, I'm complying. What description? Hoskins didn't answer. He pointed at the hood of her car. Turn around. Hands on the hood. Sir, with respect, I'm a staff sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. I've done nothing wrong. I said hands on the hood. A male customer exited the store. He stopped on the sidewalk. Mid-30s, white. He saw a woman in military uniform with her hands on a car hood and an officer standing behind her with his hand on his belt. Officer, she's in military uniform. Is everything okay? Sir, step back or you'll be next. Back. Up. The female customer pumping gas at the far end walked closer. She was recording on her phone. She didn't know she was recording history yet. She just knew something felt wrong. I saw her pull in. She literally just got gas. What's happening? Hoskins ignored her. He turned back to Kiera. You got any weapons? Drugs? No, sir. I'm a United States Marine. My orders are in the... I'm gonna search your vehicle. 11 minutes. 11 minutes going through a Marine's rental car. He found military orders, deployment paperwork, a Purple Heart citation in a folder on the passenger seat, the citation that explained the shrapnel injury, the translator she saved, the mortar attack. He read it, and then he put it back. He returned to Kira without acknowledging a single document. Turn around. You're under arrest. Sir. For what? Obstruction and disorderly conduct. Sir, I have not obstructed anything. I've complied with every... The handcuffs went on. The male customer was filming now too. 2 angles. The female customer was on the phone with someone, calling her husband, saying she thought she was watching something terrible happen. Kira never raised her voice. Not once. Her composure was perfect, and it was damning. Because her calm unsettled him. Her refusal to react gave him nothing to justify. So he arrested her anyway. Should law enforcement officers be required to verify military credentials before arresting someone in uniform? Drop your answer below. Hoskins drove Kira to the Greenfield County Detention Center. She sat in the back of the patrol car in handcuffs, still in her dress blues. The ribbons across her chest, the evidence of service he refused to see. The drive took 14 minutes. She didn't speak. Neither did he. The booking desk officer was Deputy Marcus Webb, 41 years old, 15 years with the department. And he was an Army veteran, 82nd Airborne. He'd served in Iraq from 2003 to 2008. He knew what those ribbons meant. Hoskins walked Kira inside. Webb looked up from his paperwork. His eyes went immediately to her uniform, specifically to the ribbons. He saw the Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal. He saw the Purple Heart. He saw combat deployment ribbons, and he saw a woman in handcuffs. Hold on. Staff Sergeant, what unit? 2nd Intelligence Battalion, sir. Camp Lejeune. Derek, what's the charge? Obstruction disorderly. She's a Marine, in dress blues. What was she obstructing? Webb took the IDs from Hoskins. He examined the military common access card. He checked the hologram, the issue date, the CAC card number. Then he pulled up the Department of Defense verification system on his computer. He typed in the information. The screen loaded. It displayed active duty, staff sergeant, good standing, top secret clearance. Webb removed the handcuffs immediately. Staff Sergeant, I apologize. This should not have happened. He picked up the phone, called Camp Lejeune directly. The duty officer answered. Webb identified himself, explained the situation. The conversation lasted 4 minutes. The duty officer confirmed everything. Deployment return, emergency leave status, recent promotion. And then the duty officer asked a question that made Webb's stomach drop. Why is local law enforcement calling about a staff sergeant in good standing? Webb looked at Hoskins. Hoskins was filling out paperwork, confident, like this was routine. She's verified active duty, Purple Heart recipient, just returned from deployment. Derek, what the hell were you thinking? I don't care what she is. She matched a description and had an attitude. There was no description. I checked dispatch. Nothing came through. Hoskins didn't respond. Webb made a decision. He filed the internal report first. 11:37 p.m. Documented everything. The Camp Lejeune call. Hoskins's exact words. The Purple Heart citation sitting in her car. Then he personally drove Kira back to the gas station. 20-minute drive. He apologized 3 times. Told her she should contact her base legal office. Offered to give her a copy of the report. She declined. She just wanted to get home. She just wanted to see her mother. Webb gave her his card. Told her this wasn't over. She thanked him. She drove away. Webb didn't know it yet. But the moment he'd called Camp Lejeune, he'd started a countdown. The Pentagon notification protocols had already begun. Hour 1. 11:37 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Webb's internal report reached the night shift supervisor. The supervisor reviewed the Bodycam footage. All 24 minutes. He watched a Marine in dress blues get handcuffed for nothing. He called the sheriff at home. The sheriff reviewed the footage remotely. He saw the problem immediately. He instructed the supervisor to notify Camp Lejeune Command. Hour 2. 1:30 a.m. to 3:45 a.m. The Camp Lejeune duty officer escalated to the battalion commander. The commander reviewed Webb's report, requested the Bodycam footage, watched it once, then watched it again. He contacted Marine Corps Legal. The legal officer recognized the federal implications: active duty service member, false arrest, potential civil rights violation, abuse of military uniform respect. The legal officer notified Marine Corps headquarters at the Pentagon, Hour 4, 3:45 a.m. to 6 a.m. The Pentagon legal team was briefed. They determined the incident involved multiple federal concerns. They notified the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. Hour 6, 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. The DOJ opened a preliminary investigation. They requested all documentation from Greenfield County, Bodycam, Dashcam, radio traffic, Hoskins complaint history, Department Internal Affairs records. Greenfield County realized they weren't dealing with a local complaint. They were facing federal scrutiny 12 hours post-arrest. The male customer uploaded his cell phone video to Twitter. The caption read, "Cop arrests Marine in dress blues for literally nothing." The video showed the handcuffing. It showed Kira's face, calm, controlled, perfect composure. 1 hour later, 3,400 views. 3 hours, 47,000 views. 12 hours, 890,000 views. 24 hours, 4.2 million views. Trending #1 nationally. 48 hours, 12.7 million views across Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Major news networks ran the story. Cable news covered it for 3 consecutive days, the kind of coverage that puts military cases under national spotlight. Marine arrested in dress blues became the lead story for 3 consecutive days. Veterans groups responded immediately. The Veterans of Foreign Wars issued a statement condemning the incident. Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America called for a federal investigation. The Marine Corps League demanded accountability. 1 week post-arrest, the DOJ formally announced a federal civil rights investigation. They reviewed all 17 complaints against Derek Hoskins. They discovered the pattern: 14 involving black individuals, 0 resulting in discipline. The pattern matched the federal definition of systemic civil rights violations. The DOJ filed federal charges. The charges: deprivation of rights under color of law, false arrest, false imprisonment, conspiracy against rights, filing a false report, elevated to federal because of military involvement. The video reached 31 million views across all platforms. The hashtag Justice for SSG Maldonado trended for 11 days. How many complaints against an officer should trigger a mandatory federal review? What number feels right to you? The trial began 6 months later. Federal courthouse in Richmond, Virginia. The prosecution presented evidence for 4 days. They played the body cam footage in full. 24 minutes uninterrupted. The jury watched Kira say "sir" 11 times. They watched her comply with every command. They watched Hoskins ignore her military ID, ignore her orders, ignore the Purple Heart citation. They watched him handcuff a decorated combat veteran for matching a description that never existed. They played the gas station security footage. It showed Kira pulling in, pumping gas, buying water, standing calmly, never raising her voice, never making a threatening gesture. They played the male customer's cell phone video. The angle that went viral, the handcuffs clicking shut, Kira's face, that moment of perfect dignity. Deputy Marcus Webb testified. He explained the DoD verification system. He explained how simple it was to verify military credentials. He explained that Hoskins never tried, never called the number on the back of the CAC card, never ran the verification, just arrested her. The Camp Lejeune records were entered into evidence: 11 years of service, 3 combat deployments, 0 disciplinary actions, awards, commendations. The Purple Heart citation was read aloud. The courtroom went silent. The jury heard about the IED network, the 47 Marines who went home because of her work, the translator she saved while taking shrapnel. A retired Marine colonel testified. He explained what dress blues signify, what the ribbons mean, why a Marine would wear them. He called ignoring a military ID and CKC card incomprehensible for any trained law enforcement officer. The defense attorney tried 4 approaches. First, officer felt threatened by the defendant's demeanor. The prosecutor played the body cam again, asked the jury to identify which moment felt threatening. The calm voice? The repeated "sir"? The perfect compliance? The defense had no answer. Second, military ID could have been fake. The prosecutor showed the DoD verification system, proved Hoskins never attempted to verify, asked why he didn't call the number printed on the back of the card. The number that exists for exactly this reason. The defense had no answer. Third, officer was acting on legitimate suspicion. The prosecutor proved no dispatch call existed. No description had been issued. No crime had occurred in that area for 6 days. Asked the jury, suspicion of what exactly? The defense had no answer. Fourth, defendant was uncooperative. The prosecutor played the full body cam one more time, counted 11 uses of "sir," counted 0 refusals to comply, asked the jury, does compliance look like this? Or does authority uncomfortable with composure look like this? The defense had no answer. The male customer testified. He described watching the entire interaction. He called Kira's calm almost eerie. He said he's a veteran himself. Navy, 6 years. He recognized her bearing as military immediately. The female customer testified. She said she almost called 911 because she thought was watching a Marine being kidnapped. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. They returned with a verdict. Guilty on all federal counts. The judge spoke before sentencing. His name was Judge Harold Matthews. He'd been on the bench for 23 years. He'd sentenced hundreds of people. This is what he said. You were given a badge to protect and serve. Instead, you weaponized it against a woman whose composure you mistook for defiance, whose dignity you mistook for disrespect, and whose service to this nation you couldn't recognize because of the color of her skin. Your inability to see authority in her face has cost you your freedom. Perhaps in 63 years, you'll understand what she knew the moment you handcuffed her. Real authority doesn't need to raise its voice. 63 years. Federal prison. No possibility of parole. The civil lawsuit settled 3 months later. Greenfield County paid Staff Sergeant Kira Maldonado $8.7 million. The largest civil rights settlement in Virginia state history. Kira released a statement. This was never about money. This was about ensuring no service member ever stands in a gas station parking lot, wondering if their uniform matters less than their skin. 6 months after the verdict, Kira testified before the House Armed Services Committee. She wore her dress blues, the same uniform. She sat at the witness table. Cameras recorded every word. She said, I've been shot at in Afghanistan. I've pulled wounded Marines from burning vehicles. I've stared down enemy combatants who wanted me dead. None of that made me feel as powerless as standing in handcuffs in my dress blues while someone told me my service didn't matter. She said, I have PTSD from combat. But the panic attacks started after that gas station. My therapist says I'm more triggered by police sirens than mortar fire. That should terrify every American. 14 months after the incident, the president signed the Military Service Member Protection Act into law. The law requires all law enforcement to verify military credentials through the DoD system before arrest. It requires federal review of any arrest involving active duty personnel. It mandates de-escalation training focused on recognizing military personnel. It creates criminal penalties for filing false reports against service members. The Pentagon implemented new policies. A hotline for service members to report civil rights violations, 1-800-Military-Rights. Legal assistance teams assigned to every base to handle civilian law enforcement interactions. A database tracking all incidents involving active duty personnel and local police. The DOJ created a mandatory training module. 47 states now use it. It's called Recognizing Military Authority and Credentials. Staff Sergeant Kira Maldonado's case is the primary case study. Officers across the country watch that body cam footage. They learn what not to do. Kira was promoted to gunnery sergeant. She serves as a senior intelligence instructor at Marine Corps intelligence schools. She trains the next generation. She used the settlement money to create a scholarship fund for children of single-parent military families. Kids like she was. She married Deputy Marcus Webb in 2025. The good officer, the one who filed the report, they have a daughter now. Derek Hoskins is 9 years into his 63-year sentence. Federal Correctional Institution in Butner, North Carolina. His appeals have been denied 3 times. He's divorced. His pension was forfeited. His cellmate calls him fake badge. Deputy Marcus Webb was promoted to sergeant. He runs the training program for Greenfield County on military interaction protocols. He's testified at 4 other civil rights cases. The Marine Corps League gave him their Citizenship Award for his actions that night. Was 63 years too harsh, too lenient, or exactly right? And if this case changed federal law, What does it say that we needed a decorated Marine to make the system see what it should have seen all along? Kiera Maldonado got justice. But let's be honest about why. She had medals. She had Pentagon backing. She had video from 3 angles. She had a witness who was a veteran himself and filed a report when she wouldn't. She had a service record so clean it made ignoring her impossible. Most victims of false arrest don't have ribbons that tell their story. They don't have a colonel willing to testify about their heroism. They don't have the Department of Defense making phone calls at 3 a.m. They have a body cam that never gets reviewed, a complaint that goes into a file no one reads, and a system that asks them to prove their innocence instead of asking the officer to prove their guilt. Kiera's uniform saved her, but what about everyone who doesn't wear one? If it takes 11 years of service, a Purple Heart, and Pentagon intervention to get justice for a false arrest, what does that say about the word justice? If 17 complaints weren't enough to stop one officer, how many complaints are sitting in files right now, ignored, sealed, dismissed, waiting for someone with enough medals to make people pay attention? And if a decorated Marine's composure can be mistaken for defiance, what chance does anyone else have? This case changed federal law. But laws only matter if people remember why they exist. Subscribe if you believe every story like this one deserves to be told. Drop a comment with the one question this case left you with. Share this with someone who needs to understand that justice isn't supposed to require a uniform. It's supposed to require humanity. Because Staff Sergeant Kiera Maldonado got her justice. The question is, who's still waiting for theirs?